Yo, what's up, everybody, and welcome to the second episode of Intense Takes Inside My Mind. If you haven't yet, like and subscribe to the channel. And if you haven't watched that first episode, go ahead and do that too. Got a great episode 2 coming up for you guys. Let's get into it. Yo, what's up? So let's get right into it. This week with our power rankings and best games, we got some movement in our power rankings. And there were some really good games that was also played this week, so let's jump right into it. Number one, obviously, we still got OKC sitting there at 19-1 right now. Another great week for them. Shai had a few 30-point games this week. He's up to 37-5-7 this year. Jalen Williams just made his first game back. Great bolster to their team. He was knocking off some rust. Finished with 11 points and 8 assists, but great defense all around. That team just looks hard to beat right now. They're just going to stay up there at number one. Number two, we got Detroit coming in at number 2 once again. They were number 2 in last week's power rankings. Even though they lost 2 games this week, they were both really good games to some really solid teams. First game to the Celtics. Cade had an opportunity to tie the game and send it into overtime after getting fouled on a 3-point shot. Ended up making 2 out of his 3 free throws, and the Celtics ended up winning. Then another hard-fought game in the NBA Cup against Orlando. So, you know, that's 2 tough games. But last night they just played the Heat, actually, who were also on a hot streak, and they were able to beat the Heat. So shout out to Detroit, sitting at 16-4 right now. Cade is up to 29-7-9 on 45% shooting. Jaden Ivey is also back from injury. He's been averaging 8 points since his return, so that looks like a pretty solid team, really good team all around. I really enjoy watching their growth and where they're at. Number 3, got the Rockets. Rockets, they just played earlier today, actually, defeating the Utah Jazz. I'm going to just reiterate this because I said it pretty much at the beginning of the year also. But that team, if anybody could beat OKC, it's the Rockets. And I seen it that first game. But I just know for a fact if they get a point guard, which I will also go into again in the second segment, that team is tough. I mean, they played probably one of the best defensive 4-minute stretches that I've seen in a long time earlier today against Utah. I mean, they probably got like 8 or 9 steals in a span of 4 minutes, just getting up and down the court, fast breaks, transition scoring, shooting threes. They're a really tough team, man, really super tough team. I kept them at number 3 because Kevin Durant didn't play 2 really big games earlier last week. First game was versus the Suns, who are pretty solid so far this year, and the Warriors, who with Steph and Jimmy and Draymond, like that's always going to be a tough team to compete with. And the Rockets won both of those games. Against the Suns, they beat them pretty soundly, 114-92. Amen Thompson finished with 28 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. Aaron Holiday off the bench finished with 22 points. So that was a really solid game. And then against the Warriors, they played really tough against that team. Really, really good game. Reed Shepherd came up big. He was in the starting lineup with Kevin Durant out. He finished with 31 points and 9 rebounds. They ended up beating the Warriors 104-100. But for me, like, it showed me a lot about that team. Being able to go against competition like that without your best player and winning, I really had no choice but to keep them at number 3. And honestly, I feel like they're going to be at number 2 at some point this year. I don't know if anybody's ever going to get to number 1 because OKC just doesn't look like they're going to lose. But shout out to the Rockets. I really, really enjoy watching them play basketball. This week at number 4, we got the Lakers. The Lakers weren't in the power rankings last week. Had to put them in there this week. They're on a 6-game win streak right now. LeBron is back. He's averaging 16 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists. Luka, video game numbers, 35, 9, and 9. And then Austin Reeves. If anybody knows me, they know I'm not the biggest fan of Austin Reeves, but he's playing really good basketball. He's averaging 28 points a game right now. Not really understanding how anybody in the NBA is allowing him to average 28 points, but they are. But the Lakers are playing really good basketball right now, really solid team. So I got them coming in at number 4. Number 5, I kept the Spurs in at number 5, and a big thing with that was I was going back and forth between the Spurs and Nuggets. They just so happened to play each other on Friday night, which was a big game. The Spurs came out and won that game, 139 to 136. De'Aaron Fox is averaging 24 and 7 on 48% shooting since his return from injury. Being able to win these games without Wemby and Stephon Castle is huge. Like, it's a huge boost for a team like that. So shout out to the Spurs staying in power rankings this year. They got a 13-5 record right now. So I really like the way they've been playing. So 1 through 6, those are my power rankings for this week. Best games that I've seen this week, that I saw last week. OKC versus the T-Wolves. Really, really big game. I really enjoyed watching that game. I always enjoy watching those two teams play because they're hard-nosed teams that play defense. They just compete against each other in the best way possible. So that was a really good game. OKC got out to a huge lead. But Minnesota just has that DNA of playing tough, always staying in games like that. And they play really good. Minnesota actually had a chance to take the lead in that game. It was tied at 103. Minnesota ended up having a ball, but possessions prior to the possession where they had a turnover, they almost turned the ball over and called a timeout. Coming out of the timeout, they ended up turning the ball over again. And OKC went on a 6-0 run to take control of the game. But that was a really big game, really good game. Shea finished with 40 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. Ant finished with 31, 8, and 5. Terrence Shannon came off the bench, perfect, 7-7 for from the field goal, 18 points. So really solid defense. So that was a really good game. I really enjoyed watching those two teams play. And then the second game was the Spurs versus Nuggets game that I was just talking about that was played on Friday night. That game finished 139-136 to San Antonio. Really, really big game. Denver took control at the end of the first half, went into halftime with a 15-point lead. Spurs came out in the second half and just started chipping away at the lead. De'Aaron Fox finished with 15 points and 12 assists. Devin Vassell, elite shooter. He's a very elite shooter. He's been an elite shooter for a long time. Been a staple for the Spurs, and he was really that first part of the young core that they wanted to keep. He got signed to a decent max contract a couple of years ago. He finished with 35 points, with 7 and 9 from 3-point range. Julian Champagnie, he finished with 25 points, was 10 to 10 for the free throw line. The Spurs just chipped away. They both of those players hit some very big shots in the second half and in that fourth quarter. So that was big for the Spurs. Jamal Murray finished with 37 points, and Cam Johnson finished with 28. But that was a really big game, really good game. I really enjoyed watching that game, watching those two teams play. And like I said, that game had a huge impact on the power rankings for this week. But that was my power rankings and my best games for this week. Hey, what's up? So let's get into our surprise teams and potential trades and transactions for this season. So first, we're going to start with surprise teams. Last week, I gave you guys 2 surprise teams on the good side. This week, I'm going to give you 2 surprise teams on the good and the bad side, but for both different reasons. First team, I'm going to go with the T-Wolves. Off to a slow start this year, sitting at 11-8 right now. Had 2 very, very bad losses last week against the Suns and the Kings, where they blew leads late. This has gone on for 2 years now with the T-Wolves, where they just haven't gotten off to good starts to start off the year. They pick it up towards the end of the year, and a couple of years ago when they finished first or second in the Western Conference, these past 2 years they've just been starting off slow. But right now they're sitting at 11-8. Like I said, they're 10th in offensive rating, 9th in defensive rating, which is that defensive rating is a lot better than what they start off the season with. Start off the season with. When they start off the season, they were bottom of the league. I believe sitting at 27th. So their defense is getting better. But like I said last week, I do anticipate them making a trade. I did see some things earlier last week where they spoke about possibly using Julius Randle as a trade chip. They don't have any first round picks, so trying to get a player like Ja Morant will probably be difficult to do. I'm going to assume that if they do, there's going to be a few teams that's going to be involved in that trade. But, I'm looking forward to just seeing Minnesota get better as the season goes along. I'm still very high on this team. I've always been high on this team. I mean, this is a team that's been to 2 straight Western Conference finals. So you can only believe that they're going to pick it up at some point and do what's necessary to make the run and be that team that we believe that they could be. Second surprise team, I'm going to go with the Miami Heat, and this is on the good side. Miami, they just came off a 6-game winning streak. Last night, they lost to the Detroit Pistons. They're sitting at 13-7 right now. Tyler Herro just came back from injury. He's averaging 26.5 since being back. Norman Powell sitting at 24 points per game. Bam is sitting at 19 and 10. And Khalil Ware sitting at 12 and 11. So this is a really good team. The thing that's surprising me the most about Miami is not the fact that they're number 2 in defensive rating. We already know Eric Spoelstra, top 2 or 3 coach in the whole NBA. Miami teams always play elite defense, but they're number 2 in points per game. Like, this is an elite offense, and this is all around. They're playing a way more spread out offense, a lot more motion, a lot more threes. Bam is taking a lot more threes this year. You add a player like Norman Powell, who shoots a lot of threes. Tyler Herro being back, who takes a lot of threes. Even Khalil Ware, he shoots threes too. So this offense just looks a lot more modern now, a lot more fast paced. They spread the ball around. To me, the surprising part, not just their record, but the fact that they're second in points per game, like, that's just not a Miami team. So shout out to Miami. They're off to a really good start this year. I anticipate them being a lot better, continuing to grow. You got Jovic, obviously, and he's continuing to grow. While Tyler Herro was on injury, Jovic was starting a lot of those games. So shout out to Miami. They're a really good team. And, I mean, to be top 2 in offense and defense, I mean, that's a huge reason why they're 13-7 right now. So good on them. Potential trades and transactions. So this came on my radar earlier last week, but I know I spoke about Jrue Holiday to the Rockets last week, and I still anticipate that being something that could happen. But another thing I want everybody to be on the lookout for is CJ McCollum. CJ McCollum is going to, at some point this year, be bought out by the Wizards. If that happens, adding CJ McCollum to the Rockets would be a huge get. We're talking about somebody that could still score. He just had 40 points last week. I believe he scored 40 2 or 3 times this year. He's still an elite player. So I'm talking about being able to get these point guards that could run a team that could still give you a scoring option also would be a huge get for the Rockets. So, I'm anticipating the Rockets being in that market and trying to get a player like CJ McCollum, because if CJ McCollum is being bought out, you don't have to go out and use trade pieces for a player like Jrue Holiday. You don't have to dig too much into a salary at all. You could sign a player like CJ McCollum for the vet minimum, which is $2.1 million. So that's easy. So that's another thing that I'll be on the lookout for. CJ McCollum being bought out by the Wizards and the Rockets potentially getting him. Next that I have going is the trade market for Giannis. The Bucks, after starting the season 8-5, they're currently on a 7-game losing streak. I would anticipate the Bucks, trying to gouge some trade interest for Giannis around Christmas, heading into the trade deadline. If the Bucks don't pick it up, I truly believe that Giannis will get traded by the deadline this year. If you look back to some of the things that he said earlier this season, he did kind of not really hint, but he gave, some insight into how he thinks, how he's moving. And Giannis, like he said, he still really wants to win. He wants to win a championship. He wants to still be a great player and build his resume. The more and more we're watching this Bucks team, it doesn't look like a team that's championship ready at all. And it doesn't look like a team that's just a piece or two away either. I will very much be on the lookout for the Golden State Warriors trying to flip Jimmy Butler and a Giannis trade. That is something, flipping Jimmy Butler and a young player for a Giannis trade. That is something that I would keep on my radar. But like I said, if the Bucks continue on this downward spiral that they're in right now, I think Giannis will definitely be traded come February. But those are my surprise teams and my transactions and potential trades this year. Thank you guys for tuning in to episode 2 of Intense Takes. Once again, like and subscribe if you haven't. Looking forward to putting out more basketball content for you all, and thanks for tuning in.